meeting to order. We do have a quorum with 10 members present. We are going to start the meeting off with a presentation from our finance department. And so I will turn it over to Director Reed to introduce her team and to give us the presentation.
Hello, everyone. Janine Reed, Director of Finance. Thank you so much for having us today. We've got a presentation that'll go maybe 15, 20 minutes. So bear with us. It's on a variety of topics. Today, our agenda will be walking through Oracle Cloud. As most of you know, we did a huge migration effective 1/1/12/26 on Oracle Cloud. We have done some things with the cloud regarding our purchasing system. So you'll hear today from Zach. We will talk a little bit about our financial policies and some of the training that we are rolling out. Finance 101, which is a new policy and training program that we launched actually in the fall of 2025, as well as our Harvard-Bloomberg collaboration work that we have been doing. So we're really excited to be here in front of you today. We have a wide variety of folks from the finance department that are with us, our expertise in these areas, so they will introduce themselves as they are walking through. So first of all, I'm going to hand it over to Kevin. Kevin?
All right. Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Brown, Deputy Finance Director. I'm over payroll, Division of Accounts, Treasury, and our internal human resources section of our department. So I'm going to provide a quick overview and update of our Oracle Cloud migration project. As everyone is aware, that it's been 2 years in the process. So we're here to give you a quick update as to how the implementation is going. There's two components to our migration project. We have a human capital management component, which is related to our official Metro record of our HR data that contains our payroll system as well as our core HR, benefit administration, absence management, time and labor, and of course payroll. This went live on December the 26th of 2025. That date is there because that was the date we needed to go live with HCM so that we could process January 2nd MMPS payroll in the first cloud module. So the next slide I'm going to show you is some stats as far as payroll is concerned. What you'll see is the primary, which is the main payroll runs. You'll see it broken out as MMPS, GG biweekly, semi-monthly, and then pension. To date, we've been able to process 3 MMPS payrolls in Oracle Cloud, along with 2 GG biweekly, 2 semi-monthly, and 1 pension. So like I said, the payments, the primary is the primary data run. That was the first initial payrolls that we ran. Off-cycle is what was formerly known as an interim check run. So what we would do is if there was any instances of errors or things that needed to be corrected, we would process a off-cycle check as timely as possible in collaboration with the departments to make sure that our employees were receiving their paychecks accurately and as timely as possible. So as you can see, January 2nd, first MMPS, the original run contained 11,821 records, of which we entered and had to issue 331 off-cycle checks. So that's 2.8% for the original run. And as you can see, the percentages of off-cycle keeps getting lower as every payroll that we process. GG biweekly, first process on January 9th, included 7,253 records. We issued 477 off-cycle checks. That's in collaboration with the departmental timekeepers whenever instances became known, and in collaboration with our payroll department. Semi-monthly had a little bit better stats on the first one. January 7th, processed 3,786 records, 104 off-cycle checks for 2.75%. Pension, we processed our first pension payroll this past Friday, January the 30th. There was 11,042 transactions in our pension system. We had to issue 207 off-cycle checks on Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, so 1.87%. So as you can see, the percentages are showing that the payroll systems are pretty accurate, 95+% of the initial first payroll run. That doesn't mean everything was completely accurate. We did anticipate some challenges, so we did put some contingency plans in place to address those in a timely manner as fast as possible, which included some overpayments did occur. We worked with the departments, initiated ACH reversals to pull back the incorrect amount and then processed them as part of these off-cycle checks here so that the employee's compensation was accurate and correct and paid as timely as possible. So here, what we roll into now is, now that we are live, we rolled into our payroll stabilization and contingency actions. And what we did this for was to protect employees during this early post-go-live period. We wanted to be able to ensure that they were processed timely and receiving their compensation as timely as possible. The key contingency actions that we put in place was daily off-cycle check runs if needed. And we did that every day, Monday through Friday, ever since we went live January the 2nd. Significant overpayments, like I said, we initiated ACH reversals. We communicated to the department heads along with the employee to let them know of the error, to let them know the actions that we were taking, as well as processing an off-cycle check to get them the correct amount. And we did those on those off-cycle checks. We were processing them same-day ACHs as long as we met the banking timeline. If not, if we didn't meet the same-day deadline, it was processed the next day. So it was in the employees' accounts. We remain focused to, timely and accurate payments on our Metro employees, as well as taking the necessary steps to correct the issues that caused the overpayment or underpayment. So we're actually, as we're doing these off-cycle checks, we remain steadfast to looking at the root cause of the issue so that we can get those corrected so that they do not occur in the next payroll process. So the other component of Oracle Cloud is what you call ERP, which is our Enterprise Resource Planning. That went live on January 1st, 2026. This is our account ledgers. These are our financial management, procurement, enterprise performance management, which is our budgeting software. These include our accounts ledgers, our AP, revenue collections, expense management, supplier management, sourcing, and procurement contracts. All of this is live as of 1/1/2026. And we are continuously working with our IT partners and making sure that our splash reporting reports are accurate and correct, making the changes where we need to, as well as making some minor system implementation changes. So that is all I have for ERP and Oracle Cloud. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Councilwoman Allen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. A number of council members heard from a couple of employees, specifically Water Department, about overtime records and stuff like that. Can you sort of, and we don't do punch cards, but we've been getting stuff that talks about that we work 85 hours a week, which I love that acknowledgement. But I don't totally understand how that's working either. But so can you just kind of generally talk us through how that process is supposed to work and maybe how that situation, I know that each one was dealt with as it was identified, but just how that's being fixed.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for the question. Ultimately, Water Services, I'll use them specifically since that was mentioned. They are an Oracle time and labor department, so they are utilizing the HCM as far as our time system and time record management process. So with this being a new process, a lot of the transition from the very first payroll period that we paid on January 9th still came from Kronos and was from outside sources. So that information had to get reported from the departmental timekeepers to our payroll system to get implemented. In those cases, there was some overtime that may not have been reported to us as timely. So as soon as the department realized it, reached out to us. We reviewed the records in collaboration with the departments to make sure that did we owe these employees, were they owed overtime hours? If so, we processed them as part of the off-cycle check to get them caught up. So it was an issue between the transition from the old systems into the Oracle time and labor.
And then can you explain about our 85 hours?
Yeah. The system is set up for salaried individuals to have 85 hours over a 2-week process. That's an 80-hour standard work time period with 5 hours of meal time. So what happens is whenever your salary, it reports as 85 scheduled, 85 reported. But on the back end, there is processes for council members to where we pay you the proper salary amount based upon the salary for council members. Same thing with salaried positions. It will show 85 hours, but 5 of it is mealtime. So it gets backed out and not paid. Everybody gets 80 hours. We are trying to turn off the email notifications. Unfortunately, at this point, we have been told that as of right now with Oracle, it is a all or nothing communication, and they haven't been able to separate those roles. We're hopeful that in a future release that Oracle will make some adjustments so that we can turn those notifications off so that it doesn't continue to show up in people's email boxes.
Were there other hands? Okay, y'all can continue on.
All right, thank you, Kevin. And I just really want to say a huge thank you to Kevin, to the entire payroll team, to all of our ITS partners, to our HR partners, and specifically to our departments and their timekeepers. We have all been working, long hours every night, every weekend, trying to make sure that this transition has been as smooth as possible. And so I really want to recognize all of those groups for all that they have done, because it's been a heavy, heavy lift for everyone. So, all right. Next, we're turning it over to Zach.
I think so. Oh, yep, there we go. Okay, so as part of the purchasing transition, we migrated 48,000 suppliers from one system to the next, several thousand purchase orders, several hundred contracts, all totaling about $2 billion worth of government spending. And we did that with a minimum fail rate, thanks to Terry Ray and Scott Ferguson on our team, who, as Janine mentioned, worked very long hours, including over the holidays. So we're appreciative of that. Generally now, the biggest difference that departments will notice in purchasing is that all purchases require a purchase order. They can't be paid via a direct voucher. And what that means is that in order to make a purchase, you've basically got to have 3 things. You've got to have a contract. You've got to have a quote that matches the pricing in that contract, and you've got to have the approval of central purchasing to do that. And this is important because, as you know from our procurement working group that Councilmember Suara led, the charter does require that the purchasing agent verify that all contracted purchases meet the standards of the contract terms and conditions and price. It's important to note here that that's not a new policy here. That has always been the rule, but the old system had a big hole in it that effectively allowed users to make purchases without a PO and therefore kind of skirt that process unintentionally. That was outlined in the charter. The new system allows us to restrict those kind of contract purchasing, while also giving us the flexibility to adjust it on a one-off basis if we need to. And in order to do that, that request would just need to be made to finance, and we would work with our partners in accounts payable to make that exception as needed. That's the quick version of our transition, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Councilwoman Suara.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Zach. This is not a question per se, but would you speak to the update on the site where you have information that shows transactions and people can actually go in and pull information, which is something that I think is new that's just been done. And so would you speak to that, please, if you don't mind?
Thank you so much, Council Member, for the question. Yes, we have an open data portal that is updated every single month once we close the month that will list all payments to vendors. And so that way we are building in transparency for the public so that they can go out to open data, pick a particular month, look for a vendor that was paid, and find those payments. And that is something we've been doing for a little while. But it's not something that's widely known, so I really appreciate you bringing that up because it was something new that we added in the open data portal, within the last year or so. Thank you.
Any other questions at this juncture? Seeing none, you can continue.
All right, the next thing is our financial policies. So one of the tasks that we started with when I got here was we wanted to update all of our financial policies. Some of them had not been updated in a really long time. So we went through every single financial policy that is out there on our shared directory, and it's at a SharePoint site so that all folks within Metro have access to our financial policies. And we updated every single policy. We reviewed it, we scrubbed it, and we standardized every single policy. We created a whole new numbering system. And key things that we did was we updated the petty cash policy. It's no longer called petty cash, for example. It's called a change fund. What we're trying to do here is limit the amount of cash that is held at departments. As you know, cash is risky. So we are trying to cut down on cash policies and who has cash reconciliation policies. We cleaned up a lot. We did a lot with fund balance and our non-reoccurring revenue policies. We revised our relocation policy in conjunction with our HR partners and Director Hall. And we updated our use of fund policy. We also issued some new policies around labor distribution, a budget adoption policy, and a new internal control policies. And then like I said, we did a huge overhaul and cleanup of all our financial policies. What we're planning to do next in the spring is we're actually going to do training on these policies. And this is something that we're really excited about. It's one thing to issue new policies. It's another to actually train our finance managers at our departments on the policies so that they know and understand what the policies say. So we will be rolling out training to all departments this spring, and it will be grouped by topic, because not everyone needs to understand the credit card policy, but if you have a credit card and you're at a department, you certainly need to understand the credit card policy. So we will be working on rolling out that training sometime in the spring. We believe that having clear policies and training on the policies really provides a consistent application of our policies across all departments. And then something else that we've started this year is in our Office of Financial Accountability. We were fortunate enough to get an additional employee in that department, in that division of finance last year in the budget. And so we have actually done our very first financial compliance monitoring. We are very excited about that. We may be coming back to you for another budget ask this year, because it would be really nice if we could actually do compliance monitoring across all departments for our financial policies. It's something that is needed within Metro. We see it as a need. And so we are happy to say that we are actually starting that work now. So we are very excited about the policies, and we believe it also helps build better internal controls across the departments as well.
Thank you, Chair. Hello. Am I on? Okay, thank you. Thank you so very much. I am so excited about these new policy rollouts, especially the petty cash rollout. I think that is really good, as well as like new credit card policies. And as someone who is currently serving on the audit committee, this makes my heart very happy to hear that we not only have these new policies in place, but that we're also doing formal training. I think that's going to be really helpful to our department. So I just want to say thank you and support the idea of another person to help monitor, because I think that's really important. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Evans Siegel.
Yeah, thank you. In a similar vein, I think about questions that have come up over the years around audit, around funds, the harder questions and things we've tackled. And I think I love nothing more than a good webinar training, but I love making sure people share. That's fair to laugh at. But we all joke about them, especially the lawyers in the room who have to sit through them all the time. But they are incredibly helpful. And what is really helpful is like making sure people are compliant with those once they're trained. And so really support that idea as well.
Councilwoman Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is great Nothing better than having it all written down. We worked really hard on the fund balance policy not very long ago. So can you talk about whether there were any substantive changes made to that?
Thank you so much for the question. So the fund balance policy that council approved, there is no changes to that. That is approved by council and was approved in April of 2025. This is more along the lines of fund balances, for example, within special funds and things of that nature. And it's not about a fund balance in a particular fund. It's about how funds are used.
Gotcha.
Okay, if that makes
Thank
sense.
you. And then my second question is, I'm on the Metro Finance website and was hoping that I'm a tree person, so I'm looking at the navigation sidebar, hoping I can see, here's where I can find all this policy. Is it on there?
So they are not on our Nashville.gov finance. They are on our internal SharePoint site to Metro.
Okay.
So they have not been posted yet out on finance, like Nashville.gov. We are working on that to get that updated. We issued the policies, we communicated those issues to all department heads, sent out communication, talked about it at our department head meetings, and then Oracle Cloud has been moving. And so once all of that settles down and we get the training, we hope to have those posted on Nashville.gov in the spring.
Okay, so that will be available.
That's our plan.
And easy to find.
Yes,
Thank you
and
very
we are
much.
also working on new policies as well, but yes, thank you.
Councilwoman Sarah.
Thank you, Chair. I want to add to all the thanks for all these policy changes. My question is, I see that you have training, which is very much needed, and you have in-person training coming up. Do you have this as part of the onboarding process too? Because part of what we had were people were like, we're new, we don't know what to do, da, 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 da. So is this training included for new hires?
You are like reading my mind. And so we have Mary Jo coming up next. I know all of you know Mary Jo Wiggins, Finance Assistant Director. And we have also started a brand new process called Finance 101. And it is an onboarding program, but I don't want to steal Mary Jo's thunder because this is a game changer for us. I will just say that. I am so proud of this next item. Like, I get giddy talking about it. So, all right, Mary Jo.
Awesome. Mary Jo Wiggins, Finance. So yes, the answer is not only do we have onboarding for our finance department employees, but we are now expanding this to other departments, so the finance team within other departments. So Finance 101. It is a week-long in-person. So you don't just get that day-long webinar. You get to come in person for the week. And it's really an overview of our government structure, governmental accounting, explanations of Metro's revenue and fund balance, and presentations within each division of finance. And so we've actually already launched that. We've had 2 cohorts within just our finance team, and the response has been overwhelmingly positive. We've had not only just our new hires, but this is an opportunity to go back and invite folks who didn't get that onboarding. And so we even have folks that have been within Metro for a couple years, sometimes 5-7 years, and they said, I wish I knew this when I first started. So it's been wonderfully accepted. And so we really wanted it focused on finance, and we kind of tried it out on our own folks. And so we will have this now every 2 to 3 months. And so we should, they're small cohorts, they're only 15 people, and what we have found is it's a lot of great camaraderie. So we actually, even within finance, initially said, we don't want 15 people from the same division. We have 8 divisions, let's get a couple folks from each. We're doing the same thing with our department finance folks. So next week, we have 2 cohorts. One is finance employees. The next will be finance managers and other finance folks at the departments. And again, it's multiple departments. I think we have, of the 15, I think we have 13 departments. So they'll get that camaraderie and being able to exchange information, learning more about Metro, but focusing on finance policies, procedures, all those same government, structure, how things fit together, that big context that everybody needs to kind of pull that together. So like I said, the responses have been fantastic. And we're really looking forward to it. And thank you to the department heads, because they were very supportive of letting their folks have that time to come to that training. And we will just keep cycling through. Again, the intention is to get folks as soon as they come in the door, but right now, we're going to go through whatever backlog of anybody who wants to join. So if there's anybody hearing this that hasn't had that opportunity, we have a list now for the next calendar year.
Very excited about this program. I mean, you can see from the results, it is so needed that we really get training for our finance folks within finance as well as the department. So very excited. All right, and something else we're excited about? All right. Ooh. All right, Dennis, I'm turning it over because
Okay.
you guys have done some incredible work here.
Good evening. I'm Dennis Rowland, Chief Procurement Officer and Purchasing Agent for Metro Nashville, Davidson County. Nashville was one of 16 cities selected to participate in a Harvard Bloomberg cohort called Leading Cities Procurement Reform. The cohort was facilitated by Partners for Public Good, which I think is an incredible organization. Our submitted challenge for Nashville was to improve vendor competition in our procurement process. Our team is composed of Michelle Lane, Deputy Director of Finance, Javal Watson, Business Development Manager of Procurement, Christy Snell, Engineer, NDOT, and myself. Next slide. Over the past 24 months, Metro Procurement has been implementing many transformational improvements. These include our successful Metro Council Working Group led by Councilmember Flora. We had several meetings that were very beneficial to several improvements. All of these improvements align very well with the Leading Cities cohort that I will share with you now. As you see, there were several of these that I've mentioned. Of course, cycle time Kaizen activity, we're wanting to go faster. Also, the creation of our team being more customer focused and creating that culture, and then ultimately building on the momentum from the working group. Next slide. The challenge for Nashville was to improve vendor competition in our sourcing process. And as we worked with the PPG team and the Harvard professors, we narrowed our problem down to a low response rate to solicitations. This is important because our taxpayers deserve value optimization, and then new businesses deserve growth opportunities. And there were 3 different work streams that we will do this by simplifying the procurement process, improving coordination with departments, and then expanding vendor outreach. Next slide, please. Our team felt strongly that we needed to develop an aggressive but attainable North Star goal. The goal we established is to increase the average number of responses across all solicitations by 25%. The metrics we will use will be procurement cycle times, cost savings, vendor satisfaction, and the number of new vendors winning contracts. Next slide, please. In order to meet our North Star goal of 25%, one major area of focus is by simplifying the procurement process. This will include simplifying the solicitation language and structure, refining the solicitation snapshots for upcoming opportunities, and extending the forecast term and provide more specific details. We will be assembling a cross-functional team to begin work in this area by mid-February. Next slide, please. The next item that we will be working on, the next work stream, will be to improve our procurement coordination with departments. And we will do this by requesting departments to identify or assign a formal sourcing coordinator position in all departments. We want to create departmental procurement resources, improve departmental training processes, and then ultimately write clear and concise solicitation scopes of work. So similar to what the Finance 101 in procurement, we need to do some of the same basic training, and we're looking at this being an opportunity for us to do that as well. Next slide. So what would a sourcing coordinator do? So this would be a liaison between departments and procurement who's been trained in procurement processes. They will work with the buyer in project sourcing updates, in forecasting, and then supplier issues. Within their own department, they will support the creation of standardized scopes of work, document project updates and issues, manage department contracts, and ultimately working supplier issues. Currently, and I think this actually come out in the working group that we had with the council working group, contract administration and management is a struggle in some areas. And so this is sort of the way that I described it to Janine. This is sort of a way for us to start inching into that area of improvement in that as well. Next slide. So vendor outreach is our third work stream. In our discussions with other cities, we found that many of the best practices in outreach had been adjusted during COVID, and we simply had not gone back to them. So this was actually, in some of the lunches and working groups that we had, a recurring theme that there were a lot of good best practices out there, but somehow during COVID, we had not went back to what that best practice was. So we're looking to do that. This includes networking, more face-to-face meetings, and restarting vendor roundtables, which my understanding were actually very successful prior to COVID. We're also looking at new networking events as well. Next slide. In order to establish the sourcing coordinator concept, procurement will be developing a pilot program to include 8 to 10 metro departments. In this pilot, as you see, the 4 different areas that we will be working with, the procurement staff, we will need to own the relationship with the sourcing coordinators. This includes a full curriculum of training that we will give to these positions, similar to the Finance 101. The department heads will be requesting for them to assign someone for this position. For the sourcing coordinators, we will be requesting them to shift workload and priorities and also attend the training that we'll be providing. And then for the mayor, we'll be asking for approval for this model after the pilot, after a successful pilot. From our expectation right now, of course, everybody's usually saying, well, is this including additional headcount? At this moment, we actually think it will not include additional headcount. We actually think that within the departments, they're already doing these activities. They're just doing them differently, right? And so the idea is for us to standardize the way we're working with the departments. I'd like to thank you all for your support of the procurement transformation. I know Councilmember Suara and Councilmember Friendly Webb, I've gotten to know very well in some of our discussions, and I appreciate the support and look forward to this being a very successful Harvard Bloomberg cohort going forward. So thank you very much.
Councilwoman Suara.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have any question, but this was something that we were supposed to do in August and we never did. After the sub-work group, I actually found out that the procurement department got an accreditation from the Institute for Government Procurement. And we did a resolution to actually acknowledge that. My goal was to pull it out during conversation, but at that meeting, life happens. I forgot to pull it up. And then we're supposed to do a formal presentation of that resolution. Never did because of everything else going on. But since we're talking about procurement and all the changes and all the things that you've done, I wanted to, at least for this meeting, acknowledge that we did have a resolution recognizing the Metropolitan Department of Finance Division of Purchases for being designated a quality public procurement department by NIGP, and that's the Institute for Government Procurement. So thank you for the work that you're doing, and we'll continue to look for more improvements and things to do, but we want to say thank you. I know we ask a lot of questions. We complain a lot. God knows how many times I call Zach at home, even during the weekend. I have his personal cell phone. So we do have questions and we want accountability, but we should also pause and say thank you when things are being done right. And so for this accreditation, we took almost 3, 4, 5 years to get. I want to say thank you for the work that you're doing. So to the entire finance team, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Councilwoman Gamble.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your report. And I'll say up front, forgive me if I missed it, but just wondering if you have any updates on the disparity studies that have been done regarding metro procurement, and if we can expect a report from that soon.
So we actually did release the disparity study, actually, several months ago. So if you did not get that, I know we sent it, but we are happy to resend that out if you would like us to resend that. It's almost time actually to start on the new disparity study. So, but we did release that maybe 6 months ago, 4 months ago. So, but I'm happy to resend that to you, Council.
Any other questions? Well, Director Reed, thank you to you and your team for your presentation, and there will be a part 2 at the next Budget and Finance Committee meeting on the 17th.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. All right, council members, we are going to move on through our agenda. We don't have anyone signed up for public comment, so we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Items on consent, I'll read them out, and if there's anything that needs to come out, if you can raise your hand. On consent, Resolution 2026-1767, 1773, 1774, 1775, 1777, 1779, 1780, Bill 2026-1196, Bill 2026-1197, 1198, 1199, 1200, 1201, 1202, 1203, 1204, 1205, and Bill 2026-1246. Is there anything that needs to come off of consent? Councilwoman Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. BL 2026-1197.
That's item number 16. Okay. Councilwoman Suara.
Thank you, Chair. RS 2026-1773 and BL 2026-1199.
1773 and
1199.
1199. Councilwoman Porterfield. Oh, you can go.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a couple. I apologize in advance. A few of these just got pulled, so please bear with me for one moment. Sorry. Agenda item 13, RS 2026-1779. Agenda item 17, BL 2026-1198. And, sorry, one more. BL 20, no, never mind, I don't need to pull that one. Oh yeah, I do need to pull that. BL 2026-1246. Agenda item 55.
Councilmember Cortez.
Thank you, Chair. Item 11 on the agenda, RS 2026-1775, please.
Is there anything else that needs to come off of consent? All right, I am going to read the captions. Starting with item number 3, Resolution 2026-1767, Toombs, Welsh, Ewan, and Gadd. Resolution approving an agreement between the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, the Tennessee State Parks, and the Office of the Metropolitan Public Defender to hold a multi-day trial skills workshop for the Nashville and the Memphis Public Defender offices. Item number 10, Resolution 2026-1774, Toombs, Huffman, and others. Resolution approving an application for a Predators Foundation Helper Grant from the Nashville Predators Foundation to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Office of Family Safety to fund the 3rd annual back-to-school fair for families impacted by interpersonal violence. Item number 12, Resolution 2026-1777, Lee Styles, Toombs, and others. Resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement by and between the State of Tennessee Department of Transportation and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by and through the Nashville Department of Transportation and Multimodal Infrastructure for the repair of existing pavement failures and resurfacing of 3.64 miles of King Ridge Road. Item number 14, Resolution 2026-1780, Bradford, Benton, Welsh, and others. Resolution approving an agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Metropolitan Department of Water and Sewerage Services and the Tennessee Department of Transportation for a landscaping project on Murfreesboro Pike between Bolte Boulevard and Town Park Drive. Bills on second reading, Bill 2026-1196, Coopin, Toombs, Horton, and Evan Siegel, ordinance approving an agreement between the Metropolitan Government and Piedmont Natural Gas, Inc. for the relocation of a natural gas pipeline on the existing Nissan Stadium campus. Item number 19, Bill 2026-1200, Coopin, Toombs, Horton, and Evan Siegel, ordinance authorizing the granting of an overhead and underground easement to the Electric Power Board of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County on certain property owned by the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Bill 2026-1201, Cash, Toombs, Horton, and Bow, ordinance approving a lease agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County and Chiqui Cafe LLC for use of 357 square foot of cafe space located at 3021 Leland Lane. Bill 2026-1202, Parker, Toombs, Horton, and others, ordinance approving a greenway conservation easement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County through the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation and Main Street Land Trust for greenway improvements at 0 Bethwood Drive, 2539 Allenwood Drive, and 2543 Allenwood Drive. Bill 2026-1203, Gamble, Toombs, Horton, Evan Siegel, and others, ordinance approving a greenway conservation easement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County through the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation and the Domain Timberlake Multi-State 2 LLC, care of Clayton Properties Group, Inc. for greenway improvements at 1032 Bear Run, 409 Misty Creek Court, and 0 Nature Trailway. Bill 2026-1204, Toombs, ordinance amending substitute ordinance number Bill 2021-742 to allow the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation to waive requirements for the completion of specific improvements before approval of the acceptance of a parcel of property at Brick Church Pike. Bill 2026-1205, Toombs, Huffman, and Ellis, ordinance approving a master services agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department and Care.com, Inc., to provide a digital resource for eligible individuals to connect with a network of individual and corporate care providers and access online content. Oh, that's it. That completes the consent agenda. Does anything need to come off? Seeing no hands, can I get a motion? It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Any not voting or abstaining? Motion carries. All right, moving on to the items that were not on consent. Item number 2, which is Resolution 2026-1766, Toombs, Evans, Siegel, Stiles, and Gadd. Resolution authorizing the Waste Services Department to utilize surveillance technology for fleet vehicles available under a cooperative master agreement with Routeware, Inc. Can I get a motion? It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Councilwoman Porterfield.
Thank you, Chair. I know this comes up every time we have something with the word surveillance in it. So if we could just get an explanation on what type of surveillance technology this one is.
We have someone coming to the back from Waste Services. You could introduce yourself, please.
Thank you, Chair. Matt Purvis, I'm the Council Liaison for the Department of Waste Services. This technology is actually a technology that you all approved last May, but it was under a different cooperative purchasing master, which has since expired. So we just had to get it under a different cooperative purchasing master to keep the same software and hardware. So what this is, Routeware is what we use to route our vehicles. It has a component on it that is for service verification, where on our automated side loader trucks, it has a camera on the arm so that when our drivers skip stops, whether the cart is not out or it's been contaminated, or some other reason would require us to not pick up that stop, it takes a single picture of the side of the road where the cart is supposed to be to verify whether the cart was out, whether it wasn't, to verify whatever the issue is. And so we make use of those pictures through, sending them via hub to folks like, hey, you missed my stop. We didn't, your cart wasn't out, that sort of stuff. So we use it for service verification, in addition to the larger software that we use to finally get away from paper routes to route electronically all of our stops.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Any not voting or abstaining? Motion carries. All right, item number 4, Resolution 2026-1768. Toombs, Huffman, and Bradford, resolution amending the pay plan adopted for general government employees effective July 1, 2025. Can I get a motion? It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Councilman Cortez?
Thank you, Chair. Does this incentive sunset? I have a couple questions. One, does it sunset? What prompted the Sheriff's Office to offer this? And are there any other changes of the pay plan that would have to be made? Because it's saying, there's language that says, pay plans may not be amended by the council except making uniform modifications to all employment grades.
Director Hall is coming to the back podium. And you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair Toombs. I also have Evan Bayless from the Sheriff's Office. So the request came from the Sheriff's Office because they are having a hard time staffing and fulfilling these with the schedule and the demand of work. I'll let Evan Bayless address that as well. On the pay plan amendment, this is part of a procedural process. Anything that is related to employee pay needs to be authorized by civil service rules and policies, as well as in the pay plan. Otherwise, it can't be paid. So this is a similar amendment that we did when the police incentive pay went into effect as well. So the only addition to the pay plan is just this language that would allow us to actually pay the incentive pay. Otherwise, everything else stays the exact same, but it is the exact same legal procedural process that we are required to do in order to make that incentive payment. Okay.
Could I just ask you to say your question one more time?
Absolutely. I think the only one that wasn't answered is, does this incentive sunset? Is there a specified period of time that we'll be using this, or is this in perpetuity?
It should be in perpetuity. As long as we have the mobile booking unit, we believe we would need this incentive plan.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Councilwoman Porterfield?
Thank you, Chair. Where would this money be coming from?
The money would be coming out of our existing budget. We believe that we have it in our budget that can cover us to the end of this fiscal year, but it will show up as a request for the next fiscal year.
Thank you, Chair. I will reserve the rest of my questions for budget season.
Okay. Any additional questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Any not voting or abstaining? Motion carries. Agenda item number 5, Resolution 2026-1769, Toombs, resolution approving an agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County and Sumiden Wire Products Corporation for the operation of a foreign trade subzone site. Can I get a motion? Been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Councilwoman Porterfield?
I got a lot of questions today, Chair. My first question is, what is the FTZ? And then my second question is, when the MPA was dissolved and power was given to Metro, was that like a regional decision? Because I'm trying to figure out why we would be responsible for something operating in Dixon outside of Metro.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The foreign trade subzone is actually in Nashville. It's a company whose location is outside of Nashville, but the foreign trade subzone where the product can be stored is inside of Nashville. Sorry, what was the first question?
What is the foreign trade zone? What is a FTZ?
It helps companies, I've learned things recently too, navigate volatile tariff environments by delaying, reducing, or eliminating the payment of duty, since no duty is paid on merchandise that's brought into the local foreign trade subzone.
In English, please.
They don't have to pay so much in tariffs.
Oh, okay. So I'm still not understanding why we're operating for something in Dixon. Like when the analysis talks about this company being located in Dixon.
That's where the company is, but the foreign trade subzone is here in Nashville, so the product comes here, but we just wanted to make clear where the companies were located.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you need to add anything? Director Wilson?
Just to add a little clarification, these zones, while they include Davidson County, can be 60 miles or 90 minutes driving time from a port of entry. The port of entry here is Nashville International. So that is why, that is the Metro connection. As Mr. Rosenberg said, B&A would be the port of entry here.
Any additional questions? Councilmember Spain.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I recall correctly from the analysis, Metro receives a fee of, I think it was $20,000 for allowing this company to operate there. Given the state of tariffs at the national level, it seems that this company stands to avoid a substantial amount in tariffs by using this mechanism. Is that $20,000 fee, where does that come from? Is that set in code or what?
Mr. Rosenberg?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilmember, that's an administrative fee, so it's the cost of administering it, not a cut of the savings, so to speak.
Okay, thanks.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Any opposed, no. Any not voting or abstaining? Motion carries. All right, item number 6, Resolution 2026-1770, Tunes. Resolution approving an agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County and Dorman Products, Inc. for the operation of a foreign trade subzone site. Can I get a motion? It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Any not voting or abstaining? Motion carries. Item number 7, Resolution 2026-1771, Tunes. Resolution authorizing the issuance, sale, and payment of general obligation improvement bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $660 million and providing for the levy of ad valorem taxes for the payment of debt service on the bonds. Can I get a motion? Can I get a second? It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Councilmember Porterfield.
Thank you, Chair. I'm gonna take off my former budget chair hat for a second. For the purposes of the viewing audience, can we get an explanation on both number 7 and 8, if we could get it explained in layman's terms so that the public knows what we're doing here?
Who wants to do that? All right, if you can introduce yourself and you're recognized.
I'm Seth Pilkington, Treasurer for Metro. So these next 2 resolutions that you're looking at, one is the issuance of bonds for up to $660 million. This is new money bonds. So in thinking about the whole process of capital projects, we approve the capital projects in the CIP, then in the CSP, and the capital projects are then carried forward. So we paid for some capital projects, and we have a short-term financing arm that's called commercial paper, and our commercial paper amount can go up to $700 million. So we've reached almost the capacity of that commercial paper and need to issue bonds now to pay off the commercial paper. So that's the first resolution. Any questions on that one before I go on to the next one?
Councilwoman Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There was language about these being 20-year bonds so that they're renewable. I mean, they expire in 2047 with a redeemable time in 2028. And does that mean we do not even have the ability to refinance between 2028 and 2047? We're locked in?
So when it's, the language is talking about redeeming is saying we'll make our first principal payments no earlier than that 2028 period. We will have the option in 10 years to refinance these bonds. So they're pretty typical vanilla bonds where in 10 years we can refinance them if the rates are favorable. Good question. The next resolution is refinancing some existing debt for savings. So we've identified some existing bonds that are outstanding that we would like to refinance and gain some savings on. So in some of those bonds, the 2016 bonds, we can refund. And then we have a series of other bonds where we're going to do what's called a tender offer. We've never done this before on our RGO debt. But we'll go out there to our current bondholders and ask them if they're willing to sell back the bonds that they hold. And if they are, then we can refinance those ones as well.
Councilwoman Allen.
This will show I'm a numbers person, but not a bonds person. So interest rates were remarkably low for much of these years while we were issuing bonds. So how in the world can we be expecting a better rate now with interest rates around 6 or 7%?
Good question. Although mortgage rates have risen dramatically over the last few years, bond rates have been somewhat stable, comparatively speaking. When we refund these bonds, we also turn them into more short-term bonds because we're not extending out the maturity dates. So we can gain some savings there on having shorter-term debt than what we originally paid. And our credit ratings now are higher than what they were when we issued those bonds as well.
Councilwoman Allen.
And then second question, several terms ago, we passed a requirement that there had to be like a 1% or 2% improvement before council would consider approving these. Does this meet that threshold?
It does. We're targeting just below 4%. I think it's 3.9%, a total of about just over $20 million in savings. Yeah.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Any not voting or abstaining? Motion carries. Item number 8, Resolution 2026-1772, Toombs Resolution authorizing the execution terms, issuance, sale, and payment of general obligation refunding bonds in multiple series in an aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $825 million. Can I get a motion?
Move.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Any not voting or abstaining? Motion carries. Item number 9, Resolution 2026-1773, Toombs Hill, Welsh, and others. Resolution approving an application for a TVA Energy Right Business and Industry Incentives Program grant from the Tennessee Valley Authority and Nashville Electric Services to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the General Services Department to help businesses save money and energy by utilizing the installation of energy-saving equipment. Can I get a motion?
Move.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Councilwoman Suara.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to, the way that I'm reading it, this is not just for general services, this is for general services to help businesses. So how are businesses accessing this? And is this something that we've done before? And how do they get access to it?
With the person in the back, please introduce yourself and you're recognized.
Sure. I'm Jennifer Westerholm. I'm Assistant Director of our Sustainability Division for Department of General Services. So the TVA Energy Right for Business and Industry program has been around in different iterations for a while, but this latest version since 2023, it's available, so it's distinguished from their kind of residential version. So business industry is for businesses, but also government, so like, you know, commercial property folks. So the program that we are asking to have approval to take advantage of is for metro buildings. So it's internal to Department of General Services. It also would be available to other departments should they choose to participate, but it's something we're really excited about as it's going to allow us to recoup some significant savings when we do upgrades to our facilities, with LED lighting, new HVAC systems, and other energy efficiency improvements.
Any additional questions? Councilwoman Sawyer?
Thank you. No question. I think it's just the way it's read. It almost as if you will be giving it to businesses. And so I'm glad we're getting it. So thanks for the
Understood.
clarification.
Thank you.
Any questions from anyone else? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Any not voting or abstaining, motion carries. Item number 11, Resolution 2026-1775, Toombs, Huffman, Welsh, Ewan, and others. Resolution accepting a grant from the Carolyn Smith Foundation in conjunction with the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Office of Family Safety to provide funding for the holiday shop for victims of domestic violence and their children. Can I get a motion? It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Councilman Cortez.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to learn a little more about the program.
All right, I see someone coming to the back table. If you can introduce yourself and you are recognized.
Hi, I'm Everett Filburn. I'm the grant manager for the Office of Family Safety. Do you mean specifically the holiday shop, the holiday program?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so this was something that we made for high-risk victims and their families. It's just a big area that we have inside of the building that's filled with toys, like supplies for making gifts, stuff of that nature, so that when victims come, they can come in, get some toys for their kids and wrapping paper, stuff of that nature.
That's great. I did not know we did it, so thank you for all the work you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, any additional questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Any not voting or abstaining, motion carries. Item number 13, Resolution 2026-1779, Toombs, resolution authorizing the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle the claim of George Brooks against the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County in the amount of $100,000, of which $25,196.31 will be paid by the Waste Services Department and $74,803.69 will be paid from the Judgments and Losses Fund. Can I get a motion? Been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Councilwoman Porterfield?
Thank you, Chair. There are two typos on this, so I was just wondering if we needed a late file resolution, housekeeping or whatever, to address the typos. In the amount of $100,000, it's a comma at the end instead of a decimal with 2 zeros behind it. And then this should be $25,196.31. It's a decimal behind the 25 instead of a comma.
Director Wilson, do we need to correct that? The comma after the 100,000 is intentional. Go ahead.
The section of which the council would be authorizing the compromise and settlement of these claims would have the correct dollar and cents amount. This is section 1. I see the difference that you're talking about regarding between the caption and the enacting section, but the enacting section here would be what would apply.
Okay, thank you. I mean, as long as it's fine, we're more than happy to do whatever we need to do. I think in the past, there have been times where this section had a typo and we have had to fix it. So I just wanted to flag that. And if we don't need to fix it by tomorrow, then great. But if we do need to fix it, if somebody could look at it.
Any additional discussion? Councilmember Cortez.
Thank you, Chair. I had a lot of questions just reading this. It talked about property destruction, conduct of unbecoming, and I also want to, what type of discrimination did Mr. Brooks face, and has that been handled in the department?
I see somebody coming to the back table. If you could introduce yourself and you're recognized.
Good afternoon. I'm Wintress Patterson, Assistant Director of Waste Services for Administration.
I'm Aaron Shelton, HR Manager for Nashville Waste Services.
As far as Mr. Brooks, and neither one of us were there. This was predating us joining the Waste Department. As you know, it's a new department. But what we do know about it is this went through the civil service process with the civil service disciplinary process and an outcome being administered, and then Mr. Brooks challenged. That's what we know.
And do we know the type of property damage that occurred, the type of unbecoming behavior? Do we know anything there?
We do. The property damage was destruction of a private property fence, and also some of the carts that we use for disposal were destroyed as well. The other conduct was actually insubordination, leaving that area when the accident occurred, and others that were reprimands and that type of thing as well.
Does legal, I'd like to get legal's perspective on this as well. And why the recommendation for settlement?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kelly Woodward on behalf of Metro Legal. Given that a lot of the alleged conduct occurred when waste was in transition to a new department, there were policies that were in flux. There were people pulling double duty, working HR as well as other roles. And so a lot of the documentation of the things are missing. Policies were being finalized. And so lots of things have changed since this occurred. But due to the lack of documentation, and given that there was an EEOC filed shortly before he was terminated, the decision was made that settlement was in the best interest.
And what type of discrimination occurred?
So Mr. Brooks alleged racial discrimination as a part of his EEOC claim.
Okay. And do we know what that type of behavior that consisted of?
I believe that he alleged that the waste department was separated off in order to prevent him from getting overtime as part of that.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Any not voting or abstaining? Motion carries. Moving on to item number 16, Bill 2026-1197, Toombs, Vogad, and others. Ordinance approving a host city agreement between the Metropolitan Government and the Japan Football Association. Can I get a motion? It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Councilwoman Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's great we're doing this. I just didn't see anything about financial impact, and I'm guessing we expect a nebulous amount of financial gain from it, but is there any number to be put to what it will cost us to provide the parking and transportation and stuff like that?
Director Wilson.
Councilmember, there was no explicit number that was placed in the contract itself. However, Metro did have the responsibility for getting all these arrangements together.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional discussion? Councilmember Cortez.
Is this the first time we're doing something like this? I think it's cool, just since there was no financial outlay in the legislation. Like, if we do this again, it might be good if we track it so we have an idea of, like, if we bring these events to the city again, that we have an idea what to plan for.
Director Wilson.
Councilmember, the last time this tournament was in the United States was in 1994. Typically, so no, there's not really much precedent for this type of agreement. I can't speak to how this might be tracked in the future, but at this point, no, this is fairly anomalous for Nashville and Davidson County.
A dollar figure would be fine. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you.
Any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Any not voting or abstaining? Motion carries. All right, item number 17, Bill 2026-1198, Toombs, Horton, Hill, and others. Ordinance approving a revocable license agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Metropolitan Department of Human Resources and Operation Stand Down, Tennessee for the use of office space. Can I get a motion? Been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Councilwoman Porterfield.
Thank you, Chair. I know we had a lot of discussion about this last calendar year. Quick question. I didn't see it in the bill, and forgive me if I overlooked it, but who's actually going to be using this office space?
Are those folks coming to the podium? Yes, they are. If you could introduce yourself and you're recognized.
Sure. Shannon Hall, Metro HR Director. Our illustrious veteran services officers that provide direct support to our veterans all across Davidson County. That entire team has been located at Operation Stand Down for 10 years. This is just a continuation of that same space. It really allows them to be integrated and actually serve that veteran population in a way where other wraparound services can come in as well. Lisa Kiss is our supervisor. She is actually our very first BSO when we reestablished that program in 2014. And then we have built that team to a team of now 4, and they have been located at Operation Stand Down since 2016.
Thank you, Chair. What department is that under?
Technically under HR.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Any abstaining or not voting? Motion carries. All right, item number 18, Bill 2026-1199, Toombs, Huffman, Welsh, and Benton. Ordinance to approve an affiliation agreement by and between Liberty University LLC and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by and through the Office of Family Safety to provide field work experience for students enrolled in Liberty University social work programs. Can I get a motion? It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay. All right. Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Any not voting or abstaining? Motion carries. 2, okay. All right, moving on to item number 25, Bill 2026-1206. Actually, items 25 through 54 are virtually the same with different companies. The contract language is the same. The dollar amounts in the contracts are the same. So I will read the caption and then just read the names of all of the companies, and we can take them up at once unless there is a single contract that someone wants to discuss separately. So Bill 2026-1206, Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Fairpoint Planning LLC and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Also between Gresham Smith and Metro, JRW Engineers Incorporated and Metro, H.H. Lochner, Inc. and Metro, HDR Engineering, Inc. and Metro. Looking at item 30, Lawson Associates, Inc. in Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, Neil Schaefer, Inc., Nelson Nygaard Consultant Associated, Inc., Orchards, Hiltz, and McClement, Inc., DBA OHM Advisors, Parsons Transportation Group, Inc., Himakara Gupta, DBA Bora Consulting, CDM Smith, Inc., Collier Engineering Company, Inc., Concert North America, Inc., Crawford, Murphy, and Tilly, Inc., AECOM Technical Services, Inc., Alfred Benesh and Company, Alta Planning Plus Design, Inc., Arcadis US, Inc., Barge Design Solutions, Inc., Jacobs Engineering Group, Inc., Johnson, Miramaran and Thompson, Inc., KCI Technologies, Inc., Kimberly Horn and Associates, Inc., Lamar Dunn and Associates, Inc., DBA LDA Engineering, Reagan Smith Associates, LLC, Smith Seckman Reed, Inc., Stantec Consulting Services, Inc., Volkert, Inc., and WSP USA, Inc. And I will say that, I think was this? Did you say they were deferred? These items were passed in planning and deferred in transportation. Just for the sake of the committee. Any discussion on those items? Councilmember Allen.
Madam Chair, just a procedural question. So if we defer it because it was deferred in another committee, then you'll have to read that again in 2 weeks.
Yes.
So if we pass it and we're good with it, then you will not have to read that again in 2 weeks. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct. That is correct.
I vote for approval.
Councilwoman Evans Siegel.
We didn't know that you could just read the names in transportation and infrastructure, so I read all that 42 times, 30 times. But just for the benefit of everybody, the reason it was deferred is because NDOT was going to come and do a presentation on why there are so many of these and what they are for in relation mostly to choose how you move, but how they're going to procure services going forward. So whether that's relevant to this committee, I leave to this committee, but it did not seem that today was the day to have that presentation for transportation and infrastructure, and so we all agreed to bump these out 2 weeks.
Any additional discussion? We do have a motion on the floor to approve items 25 through 54 as a collective item. Seeing no, Councilman Cortez.
I would be interested, because it can't move, if it's still deferred in the other committee, it can't really move forward. Is that correct?
It'll be an automatic deferral on the floor, but if we pass it in our committee, it doesn't come back to us.
Okay, so but we'll get to do the same review that they're going to have. We could take part in that.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, last time, any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Any abstaining or not voting? All right.
Does that mess it up?
They won't come back. Okay, all right. All right, motion carries. Item number 55, Bill 2026-1246, Toombs and Evans Siegel, ordinance accepting and appropriating public water system settlement funds from DuPont to the Metropolitan Department of Water and Sewer Services. Can I get a motion? It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Councilwoman Porterfield.
Thank you, Chair. My last question of the night. This settlement is going into the Water Services Revenue Fund. Can we get an explanation for the purposes of our viewing audience, what that fund is for and what it is typically used for?
Can someone explain that? Item number 55.
I'll restate my question. It was just about the Water Services Revenue Fund. What is the Water Services Revenue Fund? What is that fund and what is it typically used for?
Hi, Tara Ladd, Assistant Director, Metro Water. I got to tell you that I wasn't expecting that question. Teed up to talk about the settlement, not teed up to talk about the fund. So I'm going to defer to my friends at the table and see if they can help me out. I know I have a colleague up there that's very intimate with our BU numbers.
You can introduce yourself and your record.
Yes, Amanda Deaton-Moyer, Metro Finance, and to be fair, I did ask the fund number. So Tara's right. This is going to the revenue fund because it's considered miscellaneous revenue, and you want to keep in the financial system. You want to keep your revenue separate from your expenses, so they'll be able to program expenses later against that.
All right, any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Any not voting or abstaining? Motion carries. All right, last item on the agenda, item number 56, bill on third reading, Bill 2025-1147, Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel, an ordinance amending certain access management sections of chapters 13.12 and 17.20 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws to implement the Access Management Manual, which compiles regulations and guidelines for access from private property to the public rights-of-way, to modernize the development review process and make streets safer for all modes of transportation. Can I get a motion? It's been properly moved and seconded. Can I get a motion on the substitute? All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to move this, to approve the substitute. Director Wilson, can you explain what the substitute does?
Yes, yes, Chair. The substitute includes some new visibility language that would be in Title 13. It also, this language would match the Access Management Manual. It also would include, replace and include a new version of the Access Management Manual.
All right, any additional discussion on the substitute? Councilmember Allen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just say I think it was planning, we ended up deferring because of some questions about the language with regard to trees and visibility and needing to be 35 feet away from the intersection. So I believe that we passed the substitute, but then deferred the whole bill. I think those are not budget issues, and so it probably makes sense in this committee to go ahead and pass it. I don't know whether we want to add the substitute, recommend the substitute or not, but just maybe pass it without the substitute. I would look for direction from our council on that.
What would be the impact of Budget and Finance approving the bill as substituted?
Essentially, if the committee were to approve the bill as substituted, because this will be deferred by rule on the floor at tomorrow's meeting, forgive me, I'm blanking for a second. Essentially, any substitute at the final, that would be on the final legislation, whether there were changes that came out of planning and zoning or not, would be something that would not be considered. The body would be approving the bill as currently substituted and moving forward. There wouldn't be a major difference if it was without, but given the deferral.
Yeah, we'd still have to consider the substitute on the floor.
That's correct.
Okay. Any further discussion on the substitute? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Dang. Okay. Opposed, no. Okay, any not voting or abstaining? All right, substitute, motion carries. Can I get a motion on the bill as substituted?
Move approval.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the bill as substituted. Any discussion on the bill as substituted? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Any not voting or abstaining? Motion carries. Did I forget anything? Oh, just a reminder that pre-budget comment period is tomorrow. There's a 2-hour limit. So as many people as yes. Sign up is between 5 and 6 for members of the public. If you'd like to speak during that 2-hour period, please come down to the courthouse and sign up between 5 and 6 p.m. Yes, Councilwoman Porterfield.
Thank you, Chair. Please don't kill me. I don't know if we could do this procedurally. Is there a way to, those like 30 items that we passed, is there a way that we could rescind that vote and then do a consideration for a 1-meeting deferral so that we can discuss the fiscal impact after we see the presentation that's happening in transportation and infrastructure in 2 weeks? I think there are going to be some more fiscal questions after we see that presentation, so I am wondering how we can address it, or if it, I don't know a better way to do it. I'm open to suggestions, but.
What fiscal question, all of the numbers in the contracts are the same, so what fiscal questions are you anticipating?
I have several that I'm not prepared to ask today, Chair, but I do think that there is and if the body don't want to do it, the body don't want to do it. But I do think that there will be some more questions that are coming up.
So as committee members are headed to the door, I believe to rescind a motion, someone on the favorable side, which would have been everybody, would have to make that motion, and then there is a certain vote threshold, which is forthcoming.
Okay, move to rescind.
Is it two-thirds? Okay, so two-thirds majority would have to vote in favor of rescinding the collective vote for items 24 through, or is it 25 through 54? All right, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Any not voting or abstaining? Thank you, Councilmember Porterfield, for adding those 30 items back to the next Budget and Finance agenda. Motion.
You're more than welcome. Move for one meeting.
Yes.
Move for one meeting. One meeting deferral and a re-referral back to Budget and Finance Committee. Of items 30 through
25 through 54.
25 through 54.
It's been properly moved and seconded to move to do a one meeting deferral for items 25 through 54. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Any not voting or abstaining? Motion carries. That concludes our meeting. Meeting adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.